What can modern games learn from a humble 20-year-old GBA remake? And let's get this out of the way early. Yes, I do think it's worth $20.
Lately in gaming spaces, it feels like linear has become one of those, dirty words. One of those, number one criticism buzzwords. And yet we're also getting flooded with open world experiences that can sometimes feel too empty, feel a little bit too meandering, and sometimes even so bloated with content that it denies you the satisfaction of ever feeling like you're progressing. Metroid Prime 4 tried to be non-linear, and it failed, and it created an empty world. Tears of the Kingdom was so non-linear and so bloated with content that many people I know who loved the game burn out on it before even getting to the final fight. No, for real, did you finish Tears of the Kingdom? I did, but it's because I sat down and made myself do the endgame. Breath of the Wild and Legends Arceus are examples of games that do a good job of having the best parts of a linear plot structure, with some clear goals you need to hit and some guidance on what order to get them, and also the best parts of an open world exploration. Games like Dark Souls may not have any linearity, but they make up for it in having a damn killer atmosphere. It takes skill to make a non-linear experience not feel too open-ended. And it's a skill not all game designers are pulling off right now. Thus, we have open worlds that feel empty, and cozy games that feel monotonous.
Pokemon FireRed is linearity and level design both done so well.
Let me be honest here for a second. I recognize that I am cheating a little bit. Technically, Bridget has never played Pokemon FireRed. When I was a kid, I played Pokemon Leaf Green. But it's Pokemarch and I really wanted to cover it.
Every route feels like an adventure. It feels like a training opportunity.
Oh!
And the satisfaction of reaching a new town is so great that it makes you want to pop into every house and talk to everybody. Also see what items you get from them. And those conversations are very quick and very zippy. It's like maybe 2 to 3 screens of dialogue box. Now, I did go in the settings and up the text speed a little bit, so that could be why I'm finding it zippy, but it's an easy thing to turn on. The characters will give you some lore, maybe they'll just say something that's funny.
I really appreciated this moment where you pop into the Celadon City Hotel and you talk to this little kid who's like, I'm on vacation with my sister and her boyfriend. And the sister's like, oh, my boyfriend bought us a nice vacation. And then if you talk to the man across the room, he's just like, why? Why did she bring her brother? I just really noticed this zippiness in going back to this game because I feel like it's been a long time since I went out of my way to chat with every NPC. In a lot of big voice-acted AAA titles, talking actually slows the game down. In giving the characters, character, through audio and branching dialogue trees... It's the opinion police, they're coming for me. But what I was saying was that in having all these branching dialogue trees, it can get a little sluggish and halt your momentum. And that sluggishness is really annoying when it doesn't lead to any real accomplishment and it's just flavor text. But these 3 NPCs just told a whole funny story in 3 sentences. It doesn't need to be there. It's just funny and memorable. They made the world feel alive in 3 seconds.
In only having, 10 or so little towns, each one felt like it got a chance to shine and have its own personality. I didn't feel the need to leave and run to the next map marker that had just popped up. The next side mission that somebody just gave me. And because of the linear structure, getting to a new city and a new gym feels like a real accomplishment, not a never-ending checklist. And the interconnectedness of the world comes with time. You have to earn it as you open up more of the map. The game makes you journey far from home until you unlock things like fly or even just give the police officer his tea so that he'll let you go through the tunnels.
Lavender Town will always stick out to a lot of us despite there never being a gym there. The game guides you through the rock tunnel, it's your first big cave, your Pokemon are probably pretty jacked up and you've been swamped by Zubat, you're low on supplies, and when you finally leave that tunnel and hit the sunshine it feels like a triumph. Only to seconds later be greeted by creepy music. You talk to people around town and they're furious and upset. They've just witnessed Team Rocket abuse and kill a Pokemon. And then they begin to desecrate a precious memorial and gravesite for Pokemon that have passed away. You go in and try to help, and instead you're swarmed by ghosts you can't see, and that your Pokemon refuse to fight. It's only then that you get the hint to find an item in the next town over. You get to take some revenge on Team Rocket by swarming their headquarters and fighting their boss. Imagine how this would have gone if you had just been able to stroll into Celadon at any time to get the Silph Scope. I don't think the Lavender Town plot would be nearly as memorable without the linearity that many people complain about. The Rocket base wouldn't feel as dangerous because up until this point, they have just been petty thieves. You may have never seen the creepy ghost sprites in the first place. Now, I know technically you don't need to go into Pokemon Tower, but most of us did. And that leads into something else that feels really nice in these games. They are designed to be played by children, yes, but they don't treat their audience like they're childish. Just like anyone going out into the world for the first time, you encounter people who are rude. You encounter people who are kind and generous. You encounter death and people grappling with death. You encounter challenges that you may need to retrain for or try again later when you're more prepared. We played these games as kids and these elements resonated with us and we became lifelong fans. Pokemon Legends Arceus, I know I talk about it all the time, okay, I love it. They also captured this more serious tone and stakes. And while Legends ZA was silly, it did deal with some intense themes. A city that is changing and a region recovering from a crisis. People who are criminals learning to be part of the community again.
Now, Scarlet and Violet did have some serious themes, mainly being Arven's plot, and ironically, that seems to be the one that is everybody's favorite. See the connection? But I can't say it presented many challenges until the DLC. At least, in my opinion. Sword and Shield were just bland and lacked both of those things, and that is why they are bland. I don't know why the Pokemon series just seems unable to have both challenge and engaging themes. My point in bringing this up is that these emotional ups and downs and these challenging sections are what make this game so timeless. It's why they stick with kids long after they've already grown up. Children are not stupid. Children can handle complicated emotions, as long as they're developmentally appropriate, which Pokemon is. Kids who are never challenged in their hobbies are kids that grow up to slam their Chromebook closed during the SAT because they got to a hard question. Or kids that grow up and opt out of learning about things like slavery in America because they can't wrap their head around their country having a complicated history. They can't picture a world where their country ever did anything wrong. Developmentally appropriate, challenging things help kids grow. Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, all of them that we played when we were kids, they helped us grow, even in a little way. They help kids gain confidence and gain memories. FireRed is perfectly willing to let the player walk into a gym that they are not ready for and let them get their butt kicked and realize that they need to train more. They're perfectly willing to have a gym that maybe your team is ready for, but maybe you just didn't strategize right and you lose. There are times when you're out on a route training and you need to run back to the Pokemon Center even if it's inconvenient.
A lot of these themes and storytelling are environmental, too. I didn't walk into Celadon City and trigger an awkward cutscene where a poorly animated man runs on home from the casino with an empty wallet and my rival goes, "Let's go check out the game corner." I had to enter the city, walk around, and talk to people. The NPCs are complaining about the casino feeling shady, and there are characters talking about feeling hooked on the machines. There are people that say they feel like the casino is ruining the city's reputation, and all of this was done through quick dialogue and makes the feeling of taking down Team Rocket all that much better. Even if the game corner never really goes away, which is kind of funny. And it was my choice whether I wanted to take on Team Rocket first or do the gym first, based on what my team was ready for. Despite the linearity, the main way to make the experience your own is with your team. A lot of us have classic favorite Pokemon, but you could play this game over and over and have a different experience and different challenges every time, just based on which Pokemon you decide to recruit to your cause. So in this playthrough, I gave myself the challenge of only using Pokemon I've never put on my team before, with the exception of my Evolution and my starter, And that's just because I've used every evolution and I've used every Gen 1 starter at some point. But I went with the starter I've never actually started with in Kanto, which is Charmander. I know, right? And because I picked Charmander, I had to pick up a Pokemon to help me get through Brock. And I was one that I never used, and that's how I ended up with my first Mankey and Primeape. I called a Clefairy that's become my defensive tank. Doduo is going to be my flyer, and I have a Vileplume for grass coverage. I never really cared about any of these Pokemon before, and that makes this run all the more fun. People may complain that this is a 20-year-old game, but there are so many ways to vary up how your playthrough of a 20-year-old game goes. My strategy is to keep everyone on my team at the same level, which means that once everyone gets rotated to the front for training. Once Vileplume is level 33, it's time for Charmeleon to be level 33, and so on. If there's anything that hasn't aged well, it is the random encounters. It's just never going to be as cool as having Pokemon in the overworld. I also really miss gaining EXP for catching Pokemon. Sometimes it makes catching actually feel like a deterrent when I know that my Pokemon needs that valuable EXP. Random encounters can be fun, but they do slow down your pacing and can get into that grindy territory. When we didn't have anything better, this was fine. But now that I'm used to Pokemon in the overworld, I never really want to go back to this. Starting from Arceus on, I've really enjoyed stalking, catching, and collecting Pokemon, and I'm not really getting that enjoyment here nearly as much. I see why as a kid I rarely had a full Pokedex.
Will get $20 worth of entertainment out of this game, despite it being 20 years old. In fact, I think some modern games could learn a thing or two from games like Pokemon FireRed. You could learn a thing or two from this 20-year-old linear experience. Yes, I am aware that you can just emulate it. People kind of sound ridiculous when this game comes up, and all they can say over and over again is, "Why did you just emulate it?" I'm aware that anytime I want something, I can just steal it. Yes, stealing it is always an option. And I'm not judging you for choosing to emulate, but that is ultimately what it's doing. I have emulated in the past. Like, this is not a moral judgment, but I don't think it's ridiculous for people to want to pay for the convenience for the game to be on their Switch. Having it easily accessible, easily runnable, they're not downloading shady files that they don't know where they come from. Like, no, I don't want to clog up my laptop with shady files. I'm sorry. I'd like to be able to play on the TV. I'd like to be able to play on the bus. If you want to emulate it, that's fine, but it's just really silly to keep bringing it up in the discussion. It's not It's not just nostalgia. Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green have the juice. I'm like 15 to 17 hours in, and I'm only halfway done my badge quest. Immersive, it's creative, it's funny, and I really recommend picking it up. Whether you emulate it or whether you spend the $20 is on you. It looks great on my big screen. There is a lot of beauty in the story and the design, despite how simple it is. And there's things that I'm really appreciating a lot more as an adult. I've spent $20 on much stupider things, like soggy midnight McDonald's Uber Eats. What do you guys think? Have you gotten to replay Fire Red and Leaf Green? Do you agree with me? Disagree? You know I love having discussions in the comments, so thank you for joining me this Poke March once again on Bridget's Never Played. Also, if you are watching this on Friday, March 6th, it's my birthday. And I'm probably playing a lot of Pokopia right now. I would love to show 12-year-old me that she is spending her 31st birthday playing Pokemon on her couch and having the time of her life.